Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barreiro's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
All right, I'm going to get between the end of the top 5 and the beginning of the Lavelle E. Neal segment. I want to get back to the approaching Snownomi of the century, because I do have some leftover questions that we did not address much earlier in this broadcast. But first, let's get to the top 5, shall we?
Time now for the obligatory Kevin Fallness Minnesota Wild mention.
Well, at least we got a point.
Round 3, team leader in scoring Travis Konechny for this Philadelphia team, 14th all-time in Flyers history in regular season points. He'll start over the blue line right side. Konechny slowly ahead. Volstead out the challenge. Konechny, a shot, he scores. Snuck it past Volstead, short side. And the Flyers rally in the third.
Come on, man.
Win the shootout 1-0. And they take this game 3-2 here tonight in St. Paul.
Now, Joe O'Donnell's a consummate professional because
Yes, he is.
he's from Philly. He had every chance to show a little bit of, excitement. No, he's a professional. He's all in on the Wild. Unlike the Avs play-by-play, who I rip to shreds, who has no professionalism whatsoever. But more on that later. The Wild lose in a shootout 3-2. They had their moments. They took 2 penalties in overtime, had to kill both of them off. That should be a time where you get your big guns out, and they couldn't. But at the end of the day, you get 1 point, you move on to play the Rangers tomorrow. Matinee.
I don't think this is a complicated story. Philadelphia Flyers are not very good. Is that correct?
Yeah. They're below average. Yeah.
Yes. So what do you do with a below average team that's coming in here? You don't give them a reason to think they can win the game. You get ahead of them. You seize control. Weren't we down 1-0 at the end of the opening period?
They were.
And that's not, a massive deficit, but I don't think we did anything to discourage the notion that, hey, you know what? We hang around here. We might be able to win the game. And I mentioned the quote much earlier in the show as being sort of the mantra of the Friday football beast. Winning is not inevitable. Those are the words of Heinze, our head coach, after the game, who was clearly frustrated and did not hide his anger and his frustration. And I think the point of the quote, winning is not inevitable, is you fall into a big, serious trap as a team if you play as if you think winning is inevitable. If you don't do the things stylistically that have gotten you to where you are, then you open the door to showing yourselves to be a weaker team than you have tended to be. And really, you could say that about any team in this town that thinks that way. The Wolves, which you're going to get to, and you're going to get to them in a minute, you could argue they need that mantra more than the Wild do. Winning is not inevitable. But if you go about the business of playing as if it is, there's a good chance you're going to stub your toe. And we did that last night. I don't think we need a congressional investigation on your Wild club. Mm-hmm. Although, Billy Guerin, who I mentioned, co-stars on tonight's Fox 9 edition of Enough Said, did tell us that he's noticed that, we've tended to do that with some teams that we're supposed to beat. Some of that's human nature. Some of it might be just it's a one game and you didn't leave the game pointless. You did get a point as well. But I like the quote. I like a coach who I think is trying to remind his team of, we kind of have settled on, here are the 5 things generally we need to do to win. The style with which we play. And last night was a not-so-gentle reminder that when you stray from that, you run the risk of an inferior team knocking you off.
Meanwhile, your Timberwolves, I got sent, it came across my desk a little, I wouldn't call it a fight. The Ryan Hartman thing a couple days ago, that was a fight. Right. But there was a scuffle at the end of the Wolves-Clippers game.
I still don't understand it.
I don't get it either.
Yeah.
My response was, I wish it would have shown more fight during the game.
That was mentioned.
Great.
Well, that's exactly what Craig Kilborn was with us yesterday, Wolves fan extraordinaire. It had something to do with the game ball. Somebody wanted which to me is insane on a regular season game that you're going to fight over a game ball. And again, if you play as poorly, especially defensively as the Wolves did, nobody is going to have much sympathy for whatever fight you show after or whatever, even if you if you feel wronged about post-game etiquette, you're not coming from a position of strength when you give up. What do we give up? 153 points? I think it's the most we've ever given up in the history of this team, which is saying something because we've played some pretty bad defensive games over the centuries.
So we'll see if they can bounce back. Timberwolves Warriors must win.
Yeah,
the latest.
It is. And Curry's not playing still. He's out extended period.
Practicing his golf swing on the bench,
probably.
I saw.
I don't know who else is in and who else is out for Golden State. But here's what's worrisome. We know they can, Wolves can't win with them, can't win without them. 1 minute they're breaking your heart and you're angry, and the next minute they're going, these guys can beat anybody. But there's a mashup of Julius Randle lowlights from that Clippers game. It's tough to watch, man, because it's not simply missed shots, which you go, that happens. It is a complete and inexcusable lack of reaction time and effort on the defensive end. Just to the point of absurdity where you go, this is from one game or is this from a whole season? This is from a whole season. Maybe again, this is, I think, from the same game, and it's not a good look. And look, we all know Edward, and by the way, in the same game, Edwards got beaten on some backdoor plays. Edwards was not very good defensively. They had, I think at the halves, they had 16 or 17 turnovers in the first half. Hell, they had 5 within the first 3 minutes of the game. So none of that bodes well. If you want to go with, they've done it before, they know how to get it back together. Remember something. A year ago when they finished 15-5, their schedule the last 20 games was extremely soft. This year, it's not. It includes a number of either good to very good teams from a record standpoint. And check our record against the other top 8 teams in the conference. We're well below, I think it might be 5-10. We're well below 500. That's not going to work.
One more?
Sure.
In case you've been under a rock yesterday, the Vikings have a new quarterback. Here's the head coach. Tell me if this fits into the word salad that we talked about in the first hour. Here's the head coach talking about how Kyler fits this offense.
The ability to make a lot of throws in the pocket is absolutely paired with the ability to be a real weapon with his athleticism, his quickness, his ability to, not only attack the line of scrimmage as a runner, but, maintaining the ability to create some throwing opportunities off schedule and hopefully be a challenge for the way we're defended with, with how people do play Justin and allocating extra resources that way. And with Jordan Addison and TJ and obviously Jordan and Aaron and all the other guys we're going to, have in that huddle, as well as a healthy offensive line. I'm very, very excited about the possibilities of what we're going to be able to do in 2026.
There you have it. The head coach. Kyler's going to fit right in. He's got all the weapons in the world.
It's what a lot of coaches are going to say in his same position. The word salad quotient was high yesterday. I actually thought that, there's a couple of other answers that had me a little confused, and I thought there was a lot of subtle self-serving going on during that word salad expedition about how every quarterback wants to play with us and everybody wants us here and we do this. There was a lot of patting on the back, which you can do it, but I just don't think there's much of an appetite for it right now, coming off the season that the Vikings did a year ago. The Vikings failed at the quarterback position. They screwed up their quarterback strategy. You can blame it on whoever you want to. You can blame it on KFC. You can blame it on the general manager who's gone. You can blame it on the quarterback himself, J.J. McCarthy, but it was a flat-out fail last year. And so am I automatically going to assume that it's going to be fine this year? No. I'll have to see it to believe it. I understand why people could come to the conclusion that Kyler Murray is the best option of several not great options. I think that's fair and that's honest. I just don't want people to pretend that some of the concerns aren't legit on Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has a lot of explaining to do and a lot of proving to do. Why does he get rejected by the organization that drafted him, right? What happened? Because teams don't do that I think, without some reason. You could say the franchise failed him as much as he failed the franchise. Might be some truth to that. Let's see where the thing goes. Let's get a shorty in now. I will get to my weather question that we did not cover the first hour of the show. And then we'll get Lavelle's reaction to the Kyler Murray era being ushered in. And maybe some World Baseball stuff. And who knows what else with Lavelle at 5:30.
Every game is a big game when it's Wild Hockey. You can feel the intensity, the excitement at Grand Casino Arena this season. And get your tickets today, wild.com/tickets. Wild.com/tickets.
We do have Lavelle coming up in just a few minutes. We have pretty significant snow coming. The weather terrorists sound certain. We know how that goes. The range I've seen is 8 to like 18, depending on where we're hitting and which forecast, which model. That's the thing. Which do you prefer, the European model or the Bohemian model? Which weather model do you favor?
Model.
The spaghetti model,
Yeah.
all of those? Here's my question. When we get into these kinds of forecasts, let me give you an example. St. Patty's Day, I think, is technically Tuesday, but there's a lot of weekend stuff, right? St. Patty's Day related because the weekend is conducive. And there's stuff that we have to mess with in St. Paul regarding Irish dance stuff over the weekend too, like Sunday. So how does that work on like big events? Do they call it early? Do they wait for, is it 6 inches of snow? How on like big events, what's our approach in 2026? Because I feel like in recent years it's been to, on just the basis of a forecast like this, allegedly being the biggest snowstorm since at least 2018, the April one, that dropped, I think, anywhere from 14 to 20, depending on where you were, that we go ahead before there's even a dusting and say, better safe than sorry, people have to make plans, we are postponing such and such event. We're getting ahead of it, so that people then can plan and can have an idea and there's less stress. So how do we do that? How does that work now on big events over St. Patty's Day weekend? Is it wait to the last minute and then you say what you can via the internet or X or whatever, outlet you might use? I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out when it involves St. Patty's Day activity. I asked earlier for a lot of people to give us how their visits at local supermarkets are going, because I'd had some reports earlier that several of them have been jammed. Not necessarily that they're running out of stuff, but that people are, even though tomorrow is supposed to still be okay during the day, that we're stocking up as if we're going to be holed up in our homes for the next 6 weeks. But that's a different issue than what we do with big events. The Wild have a matinee. No, is it a 5 o'clock game? When do we play? Don't we play Saturday?
Yeah, we play tomorrow. 5 o'clock is the puck drop time.
Who are we playing?
The Rangers.
My sources say there was that the Rangers had asked whether there was any way to like move up the game time to give them a greater chance to get out of town. And my sources also say the answer was no, that occasionally you might be willing to move a game back, like later, but you don't want to move it up for planning purposes, and that this is going to be like this might be our most lucrative game at the gate all season for whatever reason, that it's sold really well, and so we're leaving that in that case alone.
Not to mention the Leafs are in town Sunday.
Oh, that's right.
So,
I forgot about that.
yeah.
That's true. If they make it,
Yeah.
I don't know where they'd be coming from. So I'm curious to know how that goes. By the way, so what did we say? The range we've heard is, as I said, minimum 10 inches of snow to upwards of 18 inches of snow. Apple Valley, the forecast there is for 3 feet. That's automatic. Here's
what I'm seeing from the National Weather Service.
Okay, this is the latest.
Here's the range in the Twin Cities.
Okay.
I believe this is going to be a really stupid question. I believe this is, well, it has to be. Never mind. Forget I said that.
All right.
The Twin Cities range, 8 to 24 inches.
Come
of snow.
on. They're not, that's their range?
That's what they're saying.
Are they saying that range is based on hedging our bets on the storm, or range as in depending on what part of the metropolitan area you live in, that some parts are going to get 8 inches of snow and some are? Not project, maybe some are going to get 2 feet of snow.
It sounds like it's just the high end would be.
My God.
Yeah. So the expected amount, they have a low end, an expected, and a high end. So for Minneapolis, the expected amount is 19 inches. The high end is 31 inches. The low end is 5 inches.
31?
31. Yeah.
So is this a bomb cyclone? I mean, there's got to be a very, very sexy, violent, radical name to describe this, isn't there? I mean, when it's capable of this kind of I'm going to start calling it snow violence. Because that's what the weather terrorists love. They love those terms. Bomb cyclone. Remember that one when that started appearing out of nowhere? The bomb cyclone. And it's a real term. But once the weather people figured, we throw this out there. Bomb cyclone? Are you kidding me? We can sell this easily. So I'm curious to know what the term is that would describe that kind of range and that kind of activity.
Godspeed to everyone out in Eau Claire, who you can hear the fan out in Eau Claire across borders.
Via the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, I believe in frequency reaches out there as
Even
well.
Even that, too.
Their expected amount is 23 inches.
Man.
Their high end, 37 inches.
On. They're just making up these numbers.
Why? How about we, if it's the high end amount for Twin Cities, which I have is 31, if that's a high end amount, 31 inches.
So
how are we supposed to do sermons?
That's
they
the
gotta
question.
Put me up.
That's the question. If let's say sermon starts at 9. If by 7 a.m. Sunday we are approaching 30 inches of snow, can people fairly still expect that that's our shift? We have to get to work. We'll have to talk to Program Director Chad Abbott about what his own expectations are. And as I said, unfortunately, I used to have equipment. I don't even have equipment anymore to where I could just do it from my place. So we'll see.
Well, I don't know if I could run it remotely. That would have to
that's another
thing as well.
Another possibility as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the bottom of the hour pause. We'll see if Lavelle did go supermarket shopping today. He's a Chicago kid. You'd think he'd be fine with all of this, but we'll find out. Is he back from Florida? I think he is. We'll double check because he was been at spring training as well. So Lavelle, if you have questions for him, Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line 64686. We got a lot of people checking in via the free iHeartRadio app. Lavelle Neal III joins us. How often do you listen to the show via the app as opposed to via the frequency?
I would say it may be more on the app because it just depends like where I'm at. I may be grocery shopping or running errands or something. Maybe out of the car. Then I'll have the iPods in, I'll be listening that way. And then there's some times where, like, I may be underground parking garage, like at the office.
Yeah.
And I can't get radio signal, then I'll switch over to the app. Because I do have Bluetooth, so I'll get over my car.
That's outstanding. Well, and the app, as you know, is easy to operate. It is free.
And I would tell you this, that I listened to it every day while I was in Florida from Wednesday to Wednesday. I was listening in from Fort Myers, Florida.
Much appreciated. So you are back from your spring training sojourn. What would you say was the most interesting or surprising nugget that you gleaned during your visit to the Twins facilities?
I had a Twins coach tell me that Mick Abel may have the nastiest stuff of anybody in that rotation, and that Marco Rhea may have the nastiest stuff of any pitcher in camp. The coach I talked to said playing catch with him, with Rhea, is just like a challenge because his ball is moving all over the place. And you're sitting there thinking that once he harnesses this, that he is going to be hell to deal with. And apparently Mick Abel's stuff is nasty as well. I did not have him projected in my rotation, but after that conversation, I kicked Zebby Matthews out of my opening day rotation and put Mick Abel in. Now, Mick pitched today at Clearwater against the Blue Jays and promptly issued his first walk of spring training, followed by a 2-run homer. All right?
Wow.
But then he settled down after that and pitched effectively. So he touches 96. He's got 3 other pretty good pitches, and the talent is there. So those are the 2 things that jumped out at me. Not impressed with the defense. I'm worried about this team's ability to make plays. There's just some guys that are just not good in the field. And this bullpen has got a lot of experience, but it's short in talent, man. I don't know how they're going to close out games. I don't think Liam Henchins is going to be ready for opening day. I think Cole Sands is going to open up as a closer. I'm not sure if he's going to be that effective as a closer. I don't know who's going to be the guys that pitch in high leverage situations. This bullpen could be significantly below average, and that's going to take away from whatever confidence you have in the rotation, whatever expected improvement you're going to get from the everyday players in the batting order.
So you gonna have us on 75 victories? What do you think?
My new over under is 74.5.
Okay. And
we'll see.
Where do you got us, over or under?
Oof. I'm going to try to be Nostradamus and go under.
Under?
Because I foresee a situation at midseason where Joe Ryan's moved and maybe Buxton is moved if he's willing to waive his no trade, just because the Twins are going to be out of it. They're thinking that they're going to be in it. I don't see how. You tell me who's going to be the core of that batting order. Maybe Luke Keishel. Buck's probably going to lead off, but who are going to be reliable run producers in that lineup? We don't know who they are. And then the aforementioned concerns about defense and, protecting leads after the 7th inning is just, to me, it may be more than what this team is built for.
Are you captivated by the World Baseball Classic?
I like it. I do like it. I'm actually on Jason Stark's side on they should have preliminary events during this time and have the semifinals and finals maybe during All-Star week and just blank out the whole week and have the World Baseball Classic semifinals and finals after the All-Star game on that Tuesday. I just think that it's great to have this tournament. It's cool to see the teams that play with so much passion, like the Dominican Republic and Venezuela and Puerto Rico, and watching what Italy's doing, with the espresso machine in the dugout and Vinny Pasquantino hitting home runs. It's pretty entertaining. I just think it's hard to take a tournament seriously when these pitchers are on progressions for the regular season and they're limited to 40 pitches or limited to 50 pitches or whatever. I just think you need to, if you're going to have a tournament like this, it's got to be when everybody's at full strength, when pitchers are stretched out. It's more like a regular season game here. So I would like to see a way for it to be fit into All-Star Week. I don't know if that's possible, but I think it's a way. There's got to be a way to make that happen.
Is it? Are you a bit, I guess, confused by or concerned with the fact that the USA manager did not quite seem to understand how the U.S. might or might not qualify to move on to the next round?
Yeah, you know what? We got a problem in this country that when we make a mistake, we don't want to own up to it and just move on. And that starts at the top with the crap that's going on over in the Washington, D.C. right now. just admit that, okay, we may have overthought this a little bit here. And I think Mark DeRosa is a sharp baseball guy. I've had conversations with him. I mean, I could call him right now on my phone and talk to him if I really needed to. But I think in that situation, he probably forgot what the procedures were and what all the tiebreakers were. And look, it was intricate because you get down to a situation where Mexico has to win, but not score more than 4 runs. I mean, that's really trying to thread the needle right there, you know? So I feel bad for him. He should know that, yes. But the second time, once you realize that you may have been caught off guard or may have not been fully understanding of what the tiebreaker rules are, just say, hey, I'm not used to this, y'all. I just botched it up. I'm sorry. But the other question that comes into play is that if he thought that during the game, was he managing as if, okay, I don't have to go all out to win this game because I think you already qualified? Then that's another problem. You know, that's another situation that needs to be addressed. So, but I still think he helps himself out better if he just admits that I screwed up, but I'm sorry. Let's move forward with this. But you do have to wonder if that affected how you manage the rest of the game.
Are we, obviously the big Vikings move, news becoming official yesterday, is that Kyler Murray has been signed to a 1-year minimum contract. Lavelle E. Neal III officially bored with or inspired by said announcement?
Bored with or inspired. Those are two very differing options.
Yes.
Of course you would plot that sort of diabolical scheme on me. I would say slightly on the inspired side of that scale. Because Kyler Murray, for how short he is and for how he lost his job during the season, he is more accomplished than when Sam Darnold came to the Vikings. His career QBR is higher than Sam Darnold's. His career pass rating is higher than Sam Darnold's. He has thrown for more than 3,500 yards at least 4 times, I believe, maybe 5 in his career. He has put up numbers. And he's mobile. He can run. And by monitoring social media today, Louis Riddick has been at war with the anti-Murray crowd who say, he's too short and gets passes batted down. Well, Riddick has just came out with stats that show that on the average, only 2 more passes were batted down per game over a season. In terms of career batted passes, he was only 30 ahead of Sam Darnold. Okay? So over the course of a season, that's just like 2. Then they came at him about not being able to take snaps from under center. And Riddick found stats that kind of go against that as well. So he does have some experience under center. Yes, does he like shotgun? Absolutely. I would trust in our quarterback whisperer, and this is going to be on KLC to drill down on his so-called reputation of being a quarterback whisperer to get the most out of Murray while getting him to be under center at times and mix in some shotgun. And I want to point out, and I'm sorry to do the show because, I'm from Chicago, I grew up a Bears fan, but Caleb Williams is in the shotgun a lot at USC, and Ben Johnson got him under center for the Bears, so it's possible to make that transition. So Murray may not be the tallest guy, but the fact that he's mobile and can throw on a run, I think negates some of that concern about passes being batted, and there's numbers to support that. And he has some experience under center. So you look at the production, and you look at what Riddick has been using as ammo against the perception that Murray is too short or can't operate under center, and you're saying, okay, there's something to work with here. Now, does he need to be deprogrammed a little bit? Probably, because I'm sure things went pear-shaped as last year in Arizona. And let's not, Arizona's the Arizona Cardinals organization isn't a shining example of how a football organization should be put together. Let's point that out as well. So this could work. It definitely could work. When I first heard Kyler Murray like 3 weeks ago, I was like, I don't know. But the more I looked at it, I was like, okay, this could work. This is not the worst thing ever. And Vikings fans have to admit this too, that we did not know how Sam Darnold was going to operate when he got here. We did not know that he was going to go 14-3, did we? No. So remember that skepticism as you evaluate how Kyler Murray can enhance the Vikings offense.
You've been brainwashed.
Wow.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, what I said at the start of the show is you can make the argument that among the available options, he represents the best, but that doesn't mean he's a great option. To me, you're cherry picking. I mean, you're reminding us of stuff that might be a little bit more, I guess, forgiving and more indicative of the possibilities that he represents. But he's been very inconsistent as a QB. You can argue he's actually declined a bit. The comparison on the shotgun with Caleb, to me, is not logical because Caleb just got to the pros. Kyler Murray's been a pro for 7 years. And the idea that we're still talking about, well, can he handle being under center for a consistent amount of time? We should be way past that to me. So I'm willing to give it a shot because there's no choice now. But let's go in with our eyes open. And to pretend that he has not had some responsibility for the fact that the team who drafted him was willing to let him fly away. And that I don't think there might have been one other team, maybe the Steelers, if Rodgers wasn't going to sign with them, who would have been interested in signing him as a starter. That's it. I just think we got to be going with our eyes open and say there's plenty to be concerned with that he has to get better at, and he just hasn't to this point. Even if, maybe not as many balls are batted as we said, but the fact is, throwing over the middle is not a strength of his. That's provable. And part of the reason offered is because his line of vision is difficult. So I don't care if the ball is being batted. If it's affecting how often he can even try to go over the middle, that's an issue that has to be that has to be dealt with, especially for a team that has a head coach whose bread and butter is passing over the middle, notwithstanding the fact that they removed all those passes for J.J. McCarthy.
Well, what you're calling is cherry picking, I'm calling as evidence. There's evidence that he's put up numbers in this league, and there's evidence that he has played under center.
But not consistently. Not now. You could argue, actually, under us, Ben Gessing reminded us, Darnold was in the shotgun a decent amount. So it's not illegal. But what I want to know is there any season in which 80% of the time Kyler Murray was under center?
That's a fair question. I don't have the answer to that one. I just said there's evidence that he has played under center. He has. Definitely. And what was your other argument there about the intermediate passes? Well, the intermediate passes, I mean, that's going to be something that has to be worked with. But my argument is this, is that he's 28, 29. I don't know if he's at the point where he's an old dog that can't be taught a new trick. He's a veteran guy who may be more willing to adapt, or may be more willing to evolve, given the KOC preference for throwing the ball down the middle. And if KOC believes that this can work, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to KOC. And the fact that they're only going to have to pay $1.3 million for a guy who has put up as many skins on the wall
I don't care about that.
As one.
I don't care about that.
And I say that totally understanding that his playoff history is not great.
He's 0-4-1.
He has put up regular season numbers. And I think there's some positives here that you can see where KOC wants to work with.
When I say you're cherry picking, I'm not necessarily arguing that some of those points aren't legit. What I'm saying is the only ones you're concentrating on are the ones that indicate basically that the Cardinals should never have cut him and he's underrated and he's great. I'm saying there are just as many concerns in his statistical production and in how he's gone about his business, the quarterback position, if we're going to be fair, on the other side of the ledger. Lavelle, teams don't pay players or quarterbacks $35 million to walk away for the hell of it, right? They do that, even if they're flawed organizations, because at some point they think they've seen enough to say he's not bad, but he's not ever really going to get better or get us to that place where we have to go. And I just want all of that stuff to be discussed and factored in. I don't want it to be one of those deals here where all those negative questions are at least in the mix until we sign him, and then they go magically, they disappear, and what we are looking for only are the numbers that seem to indicate he's actually better than advertised. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense, but I may also point out the possibility that maybe Kyler needed a lifeline at this point.
It's possible, yes.
But in a situation where Jacoby Brissett has put up better numbers than him, is that all on Kyler? Is that all on how the Cardinals are operating? And maybe he got into a funk and went pear-shaped over how things were going. Mm-hmm. Maybe he needed a fresh start. Maybe he needs KLC in his life right now. I'm just saying that with the numbers he's put up and the evidence that he has operated in ways that KLC can accentuate, that makes this not that bad of a signing, especially for $1.3 million. Tell me who was a better option than Kyler Murray.
Yeah, well, that's
right up Aaron Rodgers here.
Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, for me it is. Now, again, that's arguable.
You would take Rodgers over Murray?
Yes, I would take Rodgers over Murray. Yes, I would have. But to this day, tell me the Vikings would not have been in a better position last year with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, winning 9 games than they were. I
agree, and I still remember the show. You were orgasmic over. It was the geezer show you had because Rodgers went off against David Rivers, right? Was it Rivers?
I don't remember who it was, but he had a couple of good games. Yes,
there was a run of a bunch of old guys started putting up numbers one day.
Yes, that might have been it.
And
the geezer
Rodgers
show.
was one of them.
Yeah,
and you were going orgasmic over the radio.
Well, I wouldn't
so
go
you
that
got
far,
an affinity for guys close to your age getting it done.
Well, what's wrong with that?
It's not.
I don't think that's illegal. We'll see. Like I said, he's here. I'm going to give him a chance, and I'd love to be wrong. And when I say wrong, I'm not saying he doesn't have a chance. I just say we're living in an interesting world where a guy that I guarantee you this: if McCarthy were advancing, if anybody publicly a year ago at any point had said, you know what you got to watch out for? Kyler Murray is a guy to keep your eye on. Most people would have been holding their noses. And I do think he becomes more viable because human nature being what it is, the people around the organization, they start whispering stuff that are positive about him because it's in their interest to do so. I just don't think in our heart of hearts, we really wanted to be in a situation where we want to find out how much football in a second life Kyler Murray has. I'm sorry. I just don't.
Well, I get that. But I was just pointing out reasons why this could work.
Yes.
And it's not just there's an A, B, C, and D why it could work. Mm-hmm. It's not just like one thing. There's a couple things there, a few things there that suggest that this could possibly work. So that's what I was kind of leaning into. Now, if you want to look at the bigger picture there, if they get a swinging deal for Mac Jones or Marcus Mariota, I would have probably taken Marcus Mariota over Kyler, given the tumult that Kyler's most recent season was. But it was recent as 2024 that Kyler's putting up numbers, man. That can't be denied. So,
but here's the other thing, though.
Possibly work out.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying, there's reasons why this could work out.
Let's be careful on the quarterback whisperer thing because we tend to cherry pick there, where
that's a great argument.
Remember the quarterbacks.
May be more of a quarterback whisperer at the KLC.
Yeah, well, exactly, and that's my point. Is you can't only remember the quarterbacks who he develops or seem to help get a second life, a la Sam Darnold, and forget that they absolutely were convinced themselves. And this isn't just on Kwesi. Anybody who thinks this is just on Kwesi is delusional. That they had in J.J. McCarthy, a guy who, with the people around him, could be serviceable immediately. And then the hope and the presumption was get better from there. Now you could say the comeback is, well, he's young, but if you can't cherry pick on the quarterback whisperer thing and give all the credit to him when it goes well and give none of the blame to him, whether it's a young quarterback or a veteran quarterback, when it does not go as smoothly.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, I would love to have been in the room for those conversations about deciding if JJ was the guy to go with, because I think that the decision was full of hubris.
Yes.
Thinking that no matter what quarterback we could try out there, we're going to have a kick-ass defense and we're going to win at least 10 games and be a factor for the postseason. I wonder if there's anybody pounding their fist on the table going, let's not mess up a good thing here. We've got Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones in-house.
Yeah.
let's keep one of these guys here.
Well, they intended to.
Looking back on it, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but I just want to know, was everybody just fall in line? Because it's one thing to have conviction about something, and another thing to have conviction about something and be wrong. And that's what it was with J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, no, there's no question about that, and we'll see. I mean, again, it will be one of the more interesting storylines in the NFL this season because we're obsessed with the quarterback position, and it's a great debate subject, right? Every time this sort of thing happens, but in the end, remember, this was not the plan. The plan, especially now, was to turn it over to McCarthy. Now, I firmly believe, no matter what the rhetoric is, they know Kyler Murray is going to be their starter, that there's no competition. They can pretend there's a competition, but that there isn't, that you bring in Kyler Murray, you're bringing him in to start in the upcoming season. Do you agree?
I agree. Although other people on your radio station are talking about, what if JJ comes back from quarterback school with a PhD, master's, doctorate in quarterbacking? All of a sudden,
means nothing without games.
He has become the evolve
right.
of quarterbacks. I think there's less of a chance of that happening than Kyler Murray being at least functional in the Vikings offense. So, and I'm also confident KOC can scheme around. I mean, what was the story? What was the stories coming out about the Vikings during the end of the season? KOC was just calling certain plays just hoping that JJ can make some completions, right?
Correct.
He was so he watered down the playbook. I'm sure he can alter the playbook for Kyler Murray's strength. And Kyler may say, no, challenge me. I want to throw the ball over the middle. We'll see how this all works. I'm a little nervous about the kid. The kid, I was not fired up about his press conference because loquacious is not a word to describe him. and I always get nervous when players talk in the same cadence and the same rhythm. You ask him a question, he usually has about the same, I would say about the same 15, 18 second answer. It never varied. It never got deeper. It never got shorter. And when I hear that type of rhythm, I get a little nervous about that. So we'll see how this all works for KLC.
On that note, we'll let you go. What's the Sunday column?
No, Sunday. I'm finishing up my vacation this week.
You are? Are you still in Florida?
No, I'm back.
You are back.
I'm spending the last couple of days here in Minnesota.
Okay.
I actually went to the watering hole today to watch Illinois lose in overtime to Wisconsin in the Big Ten tournament.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Despite being up 6 points at midway through the second half, and somehow Wisconsin shot 37 free throws, I'm exaggerating, over the last 10 minutes, and ended up pushing the game into overtime and winning. We've lost twice to Wisconsin this year, both in overtime, and I'm really disgusted right now. Do
you have 6 weeks worth of water? You know it's coming, right? The bomb cyclone.
It's one day. It's going to be 1 or 2 days of pain. My sister called me, can you go to Costco? Can you get this? Can you fill up your tank? Can you get, I'm like, what? It's 1.5 days.
It could be 1.5 days.
So
exactly
bad
right.
On Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. It's going to be gone by Thursday because it's going to get warmer.
Yeah.
She's supposed to batten down the hatches and barricade ourselves and be prepared to be trapped for a month. And we just ain't. I got a frozen pizza. We'll be fine Saturday night.
Didn't she grow up on the south side of Chicago? I mean, it wasn't like she grew up in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, we grew up together in the south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
And this is weird, though. When you start talking about 20 inches of snow, I'm like, wait a minute. This only happens where there's Michigan involved. Because our worst snowstorms in Chicago was when lake effect kicked in.
True.
That's when the 6 to 8 inch forecast ended up being 15 to 18. Because you did not know what the lake effect was going to be like. When people are coming out here talking about 19 inches, I'm like, what? Here? And what was the Eau Claire thing? Maybe 30? I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. Some of these numbers, it's almost like it's a fantasy, weather. It's like fantasy football edition where it just seems like the numbers are kind of made up, but we'll see.
All I know is this. If we get up with 8 inches, people are going to be burning Paul Douglas's in effigy over this thing.
That's probably true.
Because the alarmists are out there. I saw the parking lot of Costco in Eagan. It was a mess. So we're all panicking now. At this point, you want it to happen because you're already super prepared for it. But I'm like, once again, it's just a day or two of being inconvenienced. We'll be fine, folks. Yeah. We have snowplows. We know how to handle this.
We'll let you go on that note. Be careful out there.
Okay.
Thank you.
The Hill Street Blues.
Appreciate it. That's right. That's a good reference. That's Lavelle Neal the third. Let me get to one quick text here. Tell Lavelle that maybe they should send Kyler to quarterback camp because he could use it more than McCarthy, given he's already been in the league for 7 years. That's not the narrative we're looking for, young man.
You can hang out with Guardsy, Meat Sauce, Lucky, Maxo, Parker Fox, and Halvey at Hop House for our Bracket Bash watch parties March 19th and the 20th. Catch the games and score giveaways like 65-inch TVs both days. Get full details now, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
I mentioned much earlier in the broadcast that Guardsy was a late scratch for today's show. When I say late, I don't mean unexpected. We knew he was going to be unavailable. And the reason is his 10th job. I think we're now in double digits on jobs. He is offering play-by-play. In fact, I think the first game is about to start on 45 from the barn, Williams Arena, the Girls State High School basketball tournament. So Guardsy, a great opportunity to do play-by-play, and I think he's doing it all day tomorrow.
We've really been waiting for Guardsy to spread his wings and try to do new things. So it's good for him that he's finally trying to, get outside the box.
100%. Let me get to a couple texts in response to our discussion with Lavelle. How many organizations gave up on Darnold? The Vikes let him walk, let it go. I'm not sure, 507 guy, what your point is. Maybe you can expound on it, who you're mad at, or what the point is. I mean, if Darnold is being used as an example of how successful we can be in sort of reclaiming a quarterback, we were until we let him go. So it's like you want it both ways. You want to take credit for it going good, but then ignore the fact that we ultimately just let him go after we made him better and replaced him with a quarterback who was awful when he was healthy last year. I'm kind of confused of what. Let me know what your point is on that. Dan, do we have the tape from Dan's show and they signed Sam Darnold? This sounds to me like a repeat. 310 guy writes that. There's Guardsy right now with Leah B. Olson. I don't think, in the case of 310 guy, I doubt that I was inspired by the Darnold signing. I would say I happily stand by that on the basis of what we'd seen to that point. But the game we're playing, again, it's the cherry-picking game. If you're only going to remember the decisions that have worked out at the quarterback position for this regime, then it's easy to say on that basis alone that this was a magnificent decision by the Vikings to bring in Kyler Murray. It's easy then. I get that. What happens previously doesn't prove anything. One thing has nothing to do with the other. These sorts of decisions have been made by the Vikings forever. And guess what? Sometimes they've worked out at the quarterback position, and sometimes they didn't. Last year didn't work out in any way, shape, or form, and they thought McCarthy was going to be ready then to be the guy, and he wasn't. So, not sure I understand. Are you smoking crack, Dan? Rogers, zero mobility, head case, caveman. Call 911. Dan, you have a closed head injury. That's quite an allegation there. I am well aware of my job isn't to put my finger in the air and see which way the wind's blowing. It's just not. I'm not here to have a majority opinion. I'm not here to have the consensus opinion. I'm here to have mine, and then we can, debate and disagree. I thought we had a good discussion with Lavelle. I've said from the beginning of this show again, the Kyler Murray move is defensible as the best move available, as long as you don't cherry pick and only lay out the evidence that suggests this is going to be the greatest move the Vikings have made since Brett Favre was taking over quarterback. As long as you're honest enough with some of the deficiencies he's shown, some of the vulnerabilities he's shown, go back and read the stories that have been written previously debating the question of not his talent, but his ability to perfect his talent and to realize said talent. That's all I ask. If we do that honestly, then, like I said, we can have a very healthy debate, and I will absolutely respect people who say, well, I won't respect if you say this is the guy I wanted all along, because I won't believe you. I won't. As I said, it's a name that previously people would go, oh, Kyler Murray, no, I don't want to mess with that. No, and I don't care if the cost is $34 million or the cost is $1.5 million either. Looks like the Class 2A semi is Perham and Providence Academy right now. Early, first half. And, our guy Guardsy is on the call. Are we allowed to do a live listen-in? We probably can't.
I don't
Channel
think
45.
so.
Yeah. I'm guessing we don't have that kind of permission, although we would be giving them a little attention, although we prefer people hang with us until we're done at the bottom of the hour. By the way, closing song, it reads on my screen 54:35.
Oh, that's left over.
Did we forget to, were we supposed to be out at the top of the 6 o'clock hour? Are we not even on the air right now?
That's still from Common.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because then I was almost encouraged, hey, maybe we are out at 6 for some reason, because we often don't know until later in the show. But
that
today,
happens.
There was no reason to go out early. So let's do this. Let's get a pause in. We will give you the highlights and lowlights from a very controversial show today and prepare you for what's coming up later tonight. And the ongoing question, will there be a live in-studio Sunday sermons? Stay tuned.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
It's brought to you by American Pressure.
Want to thank our Friday regulars today. Ben Gessling joined at 4:30 and Lavelle at 5:30. The entire show will be podcastable, maybe replayed on Sunday sermons. Who's to say, depending on our circumstances. You read maybe the most ominous report yet. This is via what app, did you tell me?
So I just opened my Apple Weather.
Okay.
And then when it says winter storm warning, I just tapped on that. And what comes up is this. And now it won't load.
Naturally. Yeah, it always works that way on live radio.
Of course. So what came up is this. It said, powerful winter storm on track to bring extreme snow accumulations and gusty winds. Here's the kicker. Travel may become impossible late Saturday night and Sunday.
Impossible, you say?
Not dangerous, not recommended, not
impossible.
Difficult.
In other words,
impossible.
If you get up and say, I'm gonna go from point A to point B, the weather gods might literally prevent you from getting there. It might be impossible for you to get there. That would be a whopper.
Yeah.
I wonder if they use that term for the great Halloween blizzard. I was living downtown for that one. I've told that story many times. I enjoyed the hell out of that one because I just sat in the high rise and looked down on all the mess. It was beautiful. Walked everywhere. It was wonderful. Maybe they did back then. I'm not sure. So that's the open question, whether sermons will exist live. My objective and intent is to do the show, but I'm going to check in with Abbott. I guess the other way out of the box might be I come in tomorrow, Abbott says, here's some equipment you can use that even you, if I talk you through it, might be able to use at your place, just in case we get into that kind of a situation. So I'll text him, because you know me, I'm a big the show must go on guy, because I mock and ridicule when things get canceled needlessly. And by the way, in this case, they'd probably be canceled for good reason if we literally get 30 inches or 25 inches of snow, whatever, or 18 inches, and the blowing and the drifting. But we'll take it under advisement, and of course, X should continue to work. So we should be able to communicate with people and let them know. So if I did it from home, I'd probably have to do it by myself, though, right? Because you don't have you wouldn't have equipment, and you're not going to do it your part on the phone, right? So I'd have to do like a 2-hour monologue.
To me, the weirdest thing is, would I have access to actually run things from this side of things from my place? From
your place.
That would be the biggest hang-up. Have you done that before? No.
Oh, okay.
I've done it from a state fair. Where I've kind of run the board remotely.
Right, yeah.
But I don't know if I have enough screens and stuff to be able to do that.
To do it for. Well, we'll find out. We'll see how it indeed goes. I have no idea.
Also, this alert just got better on the Apple. Well, not better.
Yes.
Apple Weather tapped the winter weather advisory. It says severity and then : severe. Under that, it says significant threat to life or property.
Jeez. You want to talk
this must
about
be the worst
terrorizing?
thing ever.
What weather terrorist is doing that? I mean, it's probably somebody we know, but they don't want to own up to it. We'll see. I've rarely sensed the certainty that seems to exist here. So maybe they know. Maybe these conditions are such that there's no way this can turn into dendritic snow that never hits the ground, where they say, well, no, there was 30 inches worth of snow, but it was dendritic, and it evaporated up in the atmosphere. That was one of my favorite excuses when it didn't turn out, but it sounds like it could be real. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll act accordingly. I assume, how bitter with you about your Fan and the Man on the Air efforts yesterday being preempted when we went long to include live coverage of the Zoom call involving KOC and Rob Brzezinski.
You know, I didn't even know that it happened until I got the tweet from Larry Mondello guy who
yes.
said that, what if it was the greatest episode of FOD in fan history, but the world may never know? The only person who will know is me, because I was the only person who heard it.
Yeah. Well,
I believe it was Bill Guerin from The Perch, from the Box in the Box.
Right.
I believe that's what it was.
Yeah, my sources say, all they did was mock the Guerin. All he did was mock me. And by the way, speaking of Bill Guerin, I'm glad you brought that up. He sits in. I think this is the first time we've ever done it in Enough Said history, which goes back over a decade, where we've had a dedicated guest basically be one of the panelists from start to finish on the Fox 9 Enough Said set. So it's me, it's Justin Gard, it's Lori Fisher, and it's the Wild president of hockey operations, Bill Guerin, for an entire 30 minutes. On Fox 9, I believe it'll start after their coverage concludes of the World Baseball Classic, so the time's a little bit fluid. But you can get it via the Fox Local app at any point, I believe. And it also, I think tonight should be on Fox 9 Plus. It went, I think, very well. Not surprising that Guerin would do good in that kind of live environment. He was great on a number of different subjects. We had fun including him into the mix once we got the camera angles kind of figured out. That was a bit of the challenge early, but I heartily recommend you give that a listen. Hockey fans and non-hockey fans alike, I think we'll all be very, very pleased by that. Tomorrow, Beyond the Pond?
Beyond the Pond.
What do we got? Do we have any guests?
Breakaways.
Okay.
They do. They have a handful, but
I mean, you're not in it?
No, I'm in it. I have my breakaways bit.
Oh, you sounded like you were almost trying to distance yourself from it.
No.
Oh.
Although I'm sure Pat Micheletti would like that. Maybe follow this too.
We should also mention tonight from the West Coast on the flagship, not to mention the iHeartRadio app, Timberwolves, must-win situation.
That's right.
They've dropped 3 in a row and not been competitive in any of the 3. They're taking on the Golden State Warriors in San Francisco, California. And Steph Curry's still out. So this is obviously a game that you're supposed to win. The urgency level should be high. Great deal of concern with how they have competed lately, especially. Putrid defensive performance most recently. And great concern right now about your second best player, Julius Randle, who was a revelation through most of the playoffs until, frankly, we got to the conference finals, and then things kind of changed. But can he get back to that place? Because let's face it, whatever Anthony Edwards does, the Wolves are a little bit toast if Julius can't rediscover his form from a year ago. We finished strong last year, but remember, played a lot softer schedule down the stretch than we are this time. Thanks for watching. Thank you for listening. I'm sure we'll name the Snownomi on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And we will talk to you, I hope, Sunday morning at 9.